Joanie, how can we find our balance both personally and professionally in an industry that right now seems completely unbalanced?
Well, it certainly is a challenge, and it is something that I do believe people struggle with in any, economic time, at any point in your life. But the first thing that really comes to mind, Brad, is all about ruthless prioritization, because we only can control so much, right? You can control what you can control, and you have to really let go of the rest. So I do believe that by prioritizing what's most important, like even thinking about, okay, what can I get done today? Or what am I going to start my day out with tomorrow? Being really organized, being like compartmentalizing your day, um, can really help you be effective, because there are so many things coming at us, right? From, our personal lives, our professional lives, what's happening in the economic climate, what's happening in the political climate, what's happening in our industry. But I do believe that prioritization can really help you with that. And then the other thing that I'll just mention is, you also need to make sure that you have time for yourself. I call it PTO, and I don't mean paid time off. I mean protected time out. And that's something that I really try to protect some time for myself every day, whether that's I want to get up early, have coffee and read, whether I want to get to the gym first thing, maybe it's things that I want to do in the evening, but you need some time, that protected kind of time out to recharge your batteries. And that's something that's always worked for me.
You're speaking my language. If I don't get an hour a day to go to the gym or run or just get out of the house, I can feel sort of all of the pressures from both personal, professional life weighing on me. Right. So I
Yeah.
think I only need an hour. Now, yes, some runs might go a little longer than that, and that happens, but you called it protected time out. I'm a full advocate for that. How do you propose somebody get started in doing that if they feel things are getting away from them and they say, listen, I haven't had an hour to myself and I can't even tell you how long? How do you get started there?
Right. Well, and I think back to a time in my life where not only was I working full time and traveling, but I also had little kids, and I
Mhm.
was a single mom.
Okay.
And it can be challenging, right, to find that time. So maybe it is just saying, I need to protect 20 minutes and I'm going to set my alarm and get up a little bit earlier. I'm more of a morning person. Other people,
Hear that.
like I think of my best friend who would need to do that and would stay up late just to have a little bit of quiet, time for herself. But if you can break it down into smaller time periods and just know that that's that time for yourself and stay true to that, you'll find that you're recharging your batteries, right? It's like, when they say your computer's not working, you unplug it, plug it
Yep.
back in, and
Yep.
it'll restart. We kind of need to do that with ourselves as well. And that is something that I believe it's worth putting in the extra effort to have a little bit of that protected time out. It will recharge you. To your point, I'm the same way. If I don't work out every day, I will feel like something's off for me.
Yeah.
I won't feel balanced.
Right.
So I know that I need to make that a priority. And for me, I try to do it in the morning, kind of check the box, feel good about it. But if I don't get to it, because maybe I had an early flight one day, I feel off balance. It will bother me. So it is really important to kind of prioritize, because it'll help you feel more balanced throughout your day and in your life.
Do you think it's the act of prioritization that spills over to the professional world, or is it just the fact of your body's moving, you have hormones going, you have I guess the stimulus from working out, right? Then spills over into the rest of your day, right? There is definitely a psychological impact of working out in the morning. But for you, is it okay, the workout and feeling good from a health standpoint then fuels your day? Or is it okay, if I prioritize this 20 minutes or an hour, whatever it is, that then leads to prioritizing the rest of the professional life too?
I think it's a combination of both. I really do believe that. There is a book out there, the 5 a.m. Club, which does talk about really
Hmm.
getting up early and
Yeah.
starting your day off early, and how just being productive in the morning will lead you to other things, right?
Yeah.
And so I do believe in the psychology of that. However, I'm also very focused on the health and wellness aspect. I'm 54 years old. None of us are getting any younger. And really trying to make sure that I'm thinking of, complete health and wellness for myself. What do I eat? And am I getting enough protein? And, getting enough water every day. But that workout for me, um, someone who is very goal oriented, it's also
Hmm.
important for me to check the box.
Yeah, I think you're touching on something there. When we get unbalanced as an industry or as professionals, right? Let's think about a day where you have maybe 6 or 7 meetings, whatever it might be. You're back to back on calls. You have the follow up in between those calls. Maybe from the recruiting side of things, you're screening a bunch of candidates. You have interviews coming in. You have all of this stuff to do, and you don't then get to have a good lunch. You don't have a well balanced day where you're drinking water. You're just maybe having coffee after coffee or whatever it might be. You don't get to go to the gym, or you don't have that protected time that you're talking about. And that then compounds on itself because tomorrow's another busy day. And well, I already missed 2 days at the gym this week. I guess maybe I'll just go next week. So now I'm missing 7 days. And that then starts to compound on itself. And I can certainly see how then that would spill over to the professional life as well. Hey, it's Brad taking a quick break to tell you about my friends at Benefits in a Card. Let's face it, traditional benefits don't work for temporary employees. They're expensive, confusing, and often go unused. That's where Benefits in a Card comes in. For 30 years, they've delivered benefit plans tailored to the staffing industry. With over 140 unique plans offering immediate coverage and unique perks, including free RX, they help reduce turnover, improve ACA compliance, and give your workforce something to feel good about. Want to give your staffing firm a real edge? Start with my friends at Benefits in a Card. To learn more, visit benefitsinacard.com. That's benefitsinacard.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
I think, it makes me think of someone also that kind of puts themselves in either a powerful position, or
Mhm.
are they acting more like a victim? And I talk about this in a chapter in my book, which is really all about accountability. And I think
Okay.
all of us need to be accountable to ourselves and put ourselves in positions where we have to make decisions, acknowledge certainly the reality of a situation. Again, you can only control what you can control.
Right.
But you can't make excuses, or you can't say, I can't do this. That's not going to help you be productive personally or professionally. So I talk a lot about being accountable, putting yourself in a powerful position to make it happen. And some of the ways that you have to do that is also setting boundaries with yourself, with your coworkers, with your boss, your employer, with your family too, like certain boundaries of,
Yeah.
this is what my priorities are going to be. Um, it's okay to say no to certain things. And you need to make sure, that's where it comes back to that prioritization, is what's most important, because you don't want to miss
Yeah.
something super important with your kids, right? But you also don't want to miss something very important with work. You have a board meeting, or you have a customer appointment.
Mhm.
So to me, it all comes back to that ruthless prioritization, setting good boundaries, making good choices, and then getting yourself into these kind of good habits, right? Where you're
Yeah.
trying to balance your day. But there's, we all get off balance a day or two here. I think the important part is getting back on track with that.
The That's a good point. There's a book by, oh goodness, the book is called Finish, and I want to make sure I get the author's name right. I think it's John Acuff, but let me look
It
this up
is,
really
I think
quick.
I have it on my bookshelf right
Yeah.
behind
So
me.
so there
Yes.
was a lesson that I learned in that book that um basically alluded to the concept that getting started after failure is harder emotionally than the actual failure itself. And we need to remember when we do slip up or we do fail, right? I'm trying to be healthier this month, and oh, I just went out for a couple drinks and chicken wings, and oh, woe is me. The psychological impact of getting started often weighs harder on us than the actual activity of having it done. But what we need to remember is the goal isn't to be perfect, right? I say all the time, it's progress, not perfection that we're seeking. And in that book, the thought is we're not trying to be perfect. We're trying to finish. We're trying to reach the goal that we set, and we are going to slip up, and that's okay. But
Yes.
because of, as you're alluding to, that ruthless prioritization, knowing, listen, we're human. Things are going to happen. We're going to have a bad sales day. We're going to have bad meetings, whatever it is. Maybe we're not going to have that PTO that you're talking about, that personalized time off for us today, that 20 minutes. But God willing, we're going to wake up in the morning and we can do that again tomorrow, and we can actually have a better look at it. It's making sure that we don't fall into the habit long term where we start to see success.
I couldn't agree more. I think because we all have those days, right? And I do it to myself too, right? If I book myself on the 7 a.m. flight, land, go straight to meetings all day long, then right to a business dinner. And if I did that every single day, I would burn myself out. And
Yeah.
it's sometimes you have to do that though, right? And it is
Yeah.
trying to find that balance. But you
Yeah.
know what? You just have to, in that situation, acknowledge the reality of, this was my day today, but how am
Mhm.
I going to set myself up for success tomorrow to get right back on track with what my plans are, making sure I get a good night's sleep, get up early and get that, exercise in, make sure that the next day I take a break for lunch, little things like that, like really planning on your calendar. I live, by my Outlook calendar, and I will put in my calendar time, catch up on emails, time, make sure you take a break for lunch. It may seem silly, but if I don't do that, it won't happen because I'll just keep working and lose track of time.
I ate on the way to the studio today. I completely lost track of my morning, and I grabbed a cooked sandwich on the way here.
Yeah.
What's interesting as we keep coming back to this hyper focused prioritization, I think what's also important to note is that there's going to be seasons where some things matter more than others. And there's going to be seasons where we have certain priorities that won't be here in 6 months, 9 months, whatever it might be, and that's okay. And when we think about sort of where the industry is at and sort of having this unbalanced, I'll call it unbalanced because I'm on enough calls where I feel like I'm feeling it from the outside staffing and recruiting world. At my seat at Haley Marketing here is we might just be in a season where we need to make more phone calls and we need to be doing more of the tactical work, but we still need to block specific time for us. Otherwise, it's going to continue to get away from us and we're going to continue to trend in a negative direction, I feel.
Yeah, and I think people will just hit a point of being burnt out,
Yeah.
and giving up. And I have to say, the industry has been through a lot over the last 3 years. I think many of us have been very optimistic that things were going to improve, in Q1 of 2024, and
Yeah.
expecting, oh, we'll have a better second half of 2024. And we're going to have a strong start, to 2025. And it's been a lot of that waiting and hoping,
Yeah.
and it's been a challenge. And so when you think about that, I go back to that position of whether you're putting yourself in a victim mentality or putting yourself in a powerful position. And we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're just waiting and hoping that the economy is going to get better or that the job market is going to get better. What we need to do is acknowledge the reality of what the current economic trends are
Yes.
and find pockets of where there's opportunity,
Yes.
leverage data and insights so that when you're prioritizing your time, every day, every month, your plan for the quarter strategically of what you're doing, that you're making sure you are aligned with where opportunity is and what can you do to put yourself and your business in a better position today and tomorrow than it was in last week. And so it all comes together, I think, from that prioritization standpoint, using your time wisely,
Yeah.
but don't sit around and just wait and hope it's going to get better, because
Yeah.
you will put yourself more in that victim mentality versus a very powerful position.
I have a talk here at Haley Marketing of what the best staffing and recruiting firms do differently. It's actually a talk that I'm going to deliver at Staffing World this year. And one of the first slides is I believe the best staffing and recruiting firms have a vision. And I allude to a lesson from Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, specifically on that slide. And for me, it is having the optimistic mindset. It's knowing we're going to get over that mountain. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
strategy for how we're going to get here, and here are the day-to-day tactics and how we're going to get there. And too often, I have calls with people throughout the industry where we're still just waiting for orders to come in. We're waiting for the industry to return to how it was pre-COVID. And I don't know if I need to be the voice of reason on this show to say that I don't think that's ever going to come back. That's not the way that I envision staffing and recruiting ever going again. I think the landscape of the industry has just shifted too much in just a small amount of time, where we instead need to be seen as trusted advisors and trusted consultants and work closely with our clients and prospects. I don't think the industry is going to go back to a way of just, hey, today's your lucky day, I have an order for you. So the best staffing and recruiting firms have that strategic vision. They know, okay, here's the goal, here's the strategy, and ultimately here's the tactics on how we're going to get there. And they don't play that victim card. They don't play the victim mindset because, honestly, no one wants to listen to the victim mindset. Those companies might not be here long.
They might not be. And that's where I think innovation is
Yeah.
so important right now for staffing firms.
Yeah.
Really be thinking about not only where the job market is going next year and 5 years from now, and what are going to be the top industries and the top jobs that are in demand, but then also, how is technology, changing our industry, and how do you make sure that you have a strategic plan as a company that's going to align with growth and efficiency and opportunity to position you to take advantage of that. And I do believe our industry is struggling with that a bit right
Mm-hmm.
now. It's one of the reasons I'm actually really excited about Staffing World this year, because I think there's going to be a big focus on AI and a focus on innovation and the future. And that's what staffing firms need more than ever before, because the old way of doing things is already gone. And it's not, the days I've been in the industry for 30 years, right? I remember a lot of ups and downs, but
Yeah.
the opportunity of just like, oh, new orders are coming in. You can't sit around and wait for that to just happen. You have to think differently.
Why do you think the industry gravitates towards the way things were or the way things used to be?
In my opinion, our industry was late to invest in technology. We were more of a lagging industry. I think the way the industry was built many, many years ago was, you know, a, we all know a company needs a person, they call a recruiter, the recruiter's working their network. And then so much advanced, with applicant tracking systems, and digital marketing as well, and job advertising. But still, our industry as a whole, I would say, was lagging behind with technology to really drive innovation forward. And that probably has a lot to do with the margins of our industry. The shrinking margins don't allow corporations to make those big investments in technology. But however, I think now is the point where companies are realizing they have to invest, otherwise they won't survive, right? They may not be here a year or 3 years from now. So I am seeing CEOs really start to think differently about their digital strategy,
Mm-hmm.
about where things are going in the future, how to leverage efficiencies, how to do more, right? How AI is really changing the game. But that's my opinion. It's just, I think we were antiquated for many, many years.
Do you think the small to mid-sized staffing firm can continue to compete and keep up with some of the Goliaths in the room?
I think the small to mid-size are positioned very well because they can probably move faster than some of the big Goliaths. So the big Goliaths might have more investment dollars, but the small to mid-size can be flexible, can be innovative, can try different things, and can make an impact quickly.
I think there's so much opportunity right now. I mean, if we look at AI, we look at automation, we look at technology, any of the tech stacks that are available to us or technology tools that are available to us, at times it's almost overwhelming how much is available to us. And then you get into a habit or a situation where because there is so much available, we don't do anything, right? It's scary. So it's almost if there's too much, we retreat back to what is comfortable. So there's an interesting balance there as well as we talk about finding our balance.
Yes, absolutely. And it can be paralyzing, to many companies if they look at, okay, what would my ideal tech stack be? But I can say there are so many great consultants. A shout out to a good friend of mine, Lauren Jones, who has really built a business helping companies really think differently about their tech stack and where to focus and helping them navigate through that. But it's so important to make sure that as a company, you are investing in the right areas, even if you can't invest in all of them. Again, coming back to that prioritization, really thinking differently about where can you automate? Where are things that you could do differently, right? What tools and resources are out there today to help you with growing your business from a lead generation standpoint, right? Digital marketing, the space that you guys I know are doing quite a bit in. There's a lot of opportunities. So I think having a good strategic plan and prioritizing the investments you're going to make to look at leveraging where you can lean in a bit more and trying different things. Many companies out there will let you pilot, different tools and resources. So it's a great opportunity for companies to really lean into that this year. Now's the time.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about an offer exclusive to listeners of Take the Stage. 30 minutes of strategic marketing consultation with me, completely free. Hey, whether you're looking to drive more sales or more job applications, I want to help. Visit bit.ly/stage offer. Pick a time that works best for you. That's it. Again, whether you want to drive more applications or more job orders, I want to help. That's bit.ly/stage offer. All right, let's get back to the show.
Where do you think the owner that's listening who might be a little antiquated, might be a little old school in how they do things, where should they get started, right? So if there is somebody listening right now and they see maybe things getting away from them, right? They know AI and tech and all of these things are out there, but they have sort of their way of doing things. Where do you suggest that individual begins?
Well, the great thing about our industry is there's an incredible amount of resources available. So we were talking about staffing world. I'll bring that up as just one opportunity, especially for a small business that's trying to navigate this. If they have the opportunity to attend a staffing world, or there's online, communities, through the online networks, a great way to kind of get involved, dip your toe in the water and try to see, what's out there. But there's such an incredible network of people in the industry that are willing to help and experts that are out there through different forums. So, not only, of course, I'm a big fan. I sit on the board of ASA, so I'm going to be biased, but I also
Sure.
have great friends over at SIA who are doing some incredible things. So getting involved in the associations that support our industry and building your networks is going to be the best place that you can learn.
I would agree. I mentioned the talk that I'm giving at Staffing World this year. Another key point of that is to find a coach, right? And find your coach. and understand that the answers to the problems you're facing don't need to come within your four walls. They don't need to even come within at a micro level, the four walls of your office. They don't need to come in that building, right? There are a lot of great coaches that want to help. And I
Yeah.
think the best staffing and recruiting firms understand that there are sales coaches, there are recruiting coaches, there are very business oriented coaches that can help you figure out what you're navigating, and you don't need to go it alone. I paint the analogy. I ran my first marathon this past May. And when you're prepping for that, thank you. When you're in prep, right, it was a year-long journey that I went on in terms of finding a program and finding the right nutrition and finding the right recovery and finding the right running miles per week and everything I wanted to do. It came down to finding the right coaches that could ultimately get me to a point where I was comfortable on race day to show up and compete to the best of my ability. And it's something that I couldn't have done alone and something that I didn't want to do alone. And I struggle with the thought then of we as owners, as leaders, we see that. We know we need a trainer. We know we might need a nutritionist. Maybe we need a therapist. We go and we get help from other people all the time in our personal lives, but we don't do it for our businesses.
And I can relate to that too. I talk a lot about running the New York City Marathon, which was a big goal of mine.
Right on.
And
Good
something that I had wanted to do many years. And timing is also important, right? Like when I had two little kids and I was a single mom, even though I wanted to run the New York City Marathon, I didn't really have the time to train, to be able to do it. But then when they got older, I was able to focus on that. And all the things you just mentioned, Brad, from the training, the coaches, like the resources, your support network. But ultimately you had a plan, right? And you followed your plan and you made adjustments along the way. And then you got to a point where you were able to really execute on it. It's a great analogy that we can use in our lives and in business, that running a business in today's world is more of a marathon, right? It's not a sprint.
Yes.
And you need to think about all the resources and support that you need to get you across that finish line of the marathon. So I love the analogy, and congratulations to you. Which one did you run? I have to ask.
Buffalo. So I'm here in Buffalo, New York. It's a fun story, and I'll share it with you. So I sort of believe in this inadvertent rule of threes, where if I hear something three times, I start to think the universe is speaking to me about something. And I was just speaking at the time, the California Staffing Professionals Annual Conference. Their keynote, Will Matthews, is a marathoner and an Ironman, fantastic human being as well, just an all-around good guy. So I hear marathons there. As I'm flying home, my buddy is talking to me about how he wants to run one. And then I get home and my wife randomly says, well, you should try to run a marathon before you turn 40. And it was just in this short burst, hearing about it and knowing that I was active in the gym and doing everything I could to get my health where I wanted it to be. I said, sure, let's do it. And why wait till 40? We'll just do it this year. So I signed up in June, ran it in May, came in at a time that I'm super happy with and still after it, right? So at time of recording, I have 2 halves that I'm training for now in October. And now it's just a game of, well, how fast can we get in? And can we put the right training in place to put ourselves in a position where those times are realistic? But Joanie, I mean, painting the parallel back to business, it's such a long game to get to a point where you can show up on race day and the mechanics just feel like second nature. I mean, I ran last weekend at a pace that I have never seen before for 6 miles. Just right after some minor surgery too, was finally cleared to go out and run and ran at a really good pace. This time last year, I could barely run 2 miles. And it's just putting in the work and having the coaches in place and having the nutrition in place and all of that. I struggle with why we don't do that in business as well. We show up and it's a sprint. Let's call 40 prospects today, or, hey, I'm going to go buy 12 cases of donuts. I'm going to go prospect and I'm going to drop in on 12 people today who don't know I'm coming, who don't know who I am, but it's a sprint to get sales, instead of thinking what framework and groundwork can I lay today so that I don't feel this way this time next year? Because sales is a long game. We're not closing sales in one call. So why don't we lay the groundwork today for the marathon that's going to be this time next year?
It's so important.
Yeah.
And I think for companies that are out there looking for that quick fix, the silver bullet, to your point, you have to lay the groundwork and put in the effort. You have to have that strategic plan, to really think about how you're going to generate sales and new opportunities. And it takes a lot of work and takes a lot of effort. But if you do it right and really execute again on that plan, then you will be successful. It's when you're just trying those different things and you're not strategic enough about it, or you can't, like you said, you can't show up on race day and have not prepared. And so in order to get your business to that finish line, you do need to take that kind of longer term approach and really think about the different levers that you're going to pull to make sure you get across the line.
And that comes back to the radical prioritization that you had talked about at the start of the conversation, right? It's
It
knowing
does.
that whether it's training for a run or training in business, the prioritization that you put in today might change in 6 months, right? It might change in a sense where the tactics that we're deploying at the sales side of things, we prioritize different things. I mean, we see it in marketing all the time. It's sort of this, what was old is now new again. And we shift back towards, direct mail and physical, tangible print pieces because everything is all digital, right? And it's having that plan though. It's knowing, okay, this is what our sales team is going to prioritize this month, this week, and executing on the plan instead of just having sales reps show up and hope for the best because the industry is just not going that way. And then as a result of that, that's why we feel unbalanced. We don't know what to do. So we're grasping at straws and we're hoping for the best.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think of, Brad, and I'd say to CEOs is you need to get really clear on what those priorities are and then stick to them. Not that you can't tweak things along the way if something isn't working, but where I see CEOs making some of the biggest mistakes is they'll set their strategic plan. They'll say, okay, here's our top 3 to 5 priorities, but then they try to add 10 other things on, and they are trying to do everything all at once, and their teams are not positioned to execute, and the
Yes.
company isn't making progress, right, in reaching its goals. So when I talk about like ruthless prioritization, I think the CEO has to really own that and make sure that they are keeping, right, the team really focused on what's most important, and not letting a million other things distract the organization.
Where do you think staffing is headed in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think we definitely will see some new automation really come, new technology that is going to be focused not on replacing the recruiter role, but we've already seen like certain tools and resources that are making it easy for recruiters or salespeople to do their jobs. I think staffing in the next 3 to 5 years is going to have rapid acceleration of leveraging the tools and resources out there to help drive productivity. I truly believe the recruiter role will not be eliminated, but I believe they will see an increase in productivity based on all of the resources and technology that they will have to do their job more efficiently, not letting things fall through the cracks, making better matches, staying connected with their talent. There's so much great opportunity there. And then the same thing on the sales side. The other thing that I would say for the staffing and recruiting industry is that there will be investments in training and upskilling and reskilling workers, because we still have a gap that is only going to widen. And so even though many people are afraid that jobs are being eliminated, and I agree, there are those lower level jobs that are being eliminated, we still have a skills gap in the country that we need to solve for. And I think staffing and recruiting firms can play a big part in workforce development, in partnering with their customers to be creative on finding programs to skill and reskill workers to meet the demands of the jobs that are going to be in the future. So I know it's changing and it's changing quickly, but I believe our industry can have a very impactful role in workforce development. But again, have to have the right strategic plan in order to make that happen.
I've consulted with hundreds of staffing firms over the last year, and if you're anything like the owners or sales leaders I'm talking to, you're probably asking the same two questions. How do we open more doors to get more conversations? And how do we close more deals? Here's the good news. I've seen what works, and right now we're making it even easier to boost your lead generation without blowing your budget. For a limited time, Haley Marketing is offering 20% off our most powerful marketing tools for staffing and recruiting firms. That's door openers campaigns, custom integrated direct marketing, digital marketing solutions, sales automation services, and our exclusive Haley Mail content marketing system. We're limiting this offer to the first 30 companies that sign up. And if you're already a Haley Marketing client, the discount applies to new services only. So if you're ready to drive more sales in 2025, we'd love to help. Head over to bit.ly/Bialy20 to learn more. That's bit.ly/Bialy20, all lowercase, to learn more. All right, let's get back to the show. She's Joanie Bily. Joanie, before I get you to our rapid fire round, I want to give you the floor to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and the projects you're working on right now.
Well, thank you. I obviously have been in the staffing industry for about 30 years, and I have been fortunate to work for some incredible global firms, Adecco, Randstad, as well as Employbridge. Currently, I am stepping into a role as the CEO for Dress for Success, and also acting as a strategic advisor for Dress for Success Worldwide to help them with thinking about taking the work that they do as one of the largest global nonprofits that are really helping women with workforce development. So it's an incredible opportunity for me. And I also, am still very involved in the staffing industry. I'm on the board of directors for the American Staffing Association, and work with companies on thinking a little bit differently about where they're going in the future. So some strategy and consulting work on the side. But appreciate you having me on, Brad. And even though our last names are spelled differently, I love that I've met another Bily.
It's rare. It is very rare.
Rare. I know everyone mispronounces our last names, but so great to meet another Bialy, and honored to join you today. Thanks for having me.
Great to chat with you as well. Real quick, our rapid fire round, if you don't mind. One book that has fundamentally changed your life. I'll allow you to say yours, but I'm also going to ask you to share one that you did not write.
Writing my book changed my life because I didn't know how much work it would have. But I'm big into goal setting. Mm-hmm. And so last year I gave myself the goal of reading the Bible. Even though I was, born and raised, went to Catholic school, I had never read the Bible from cover to cover, and I did it last year. And I can say that obviously the most powerful book. I need to read it again, but it definitely, obviously, what an incredible book that really just speaks so much spiritually about the importance of love and taking care of one another, both personally and professionally, as so many great stories. So certainly biggest impact on my life.
You're the second person that said the Bible. Tom Koznick has also mentioned the Bible on this show. And we don't have many repeat books, so it's good to hear that. And the second question for you, one piece of advice to someone just starting in staffing and recruiting, what would you tell them?
Well, first I'd say you've landed in such a great industry. But my advice would be to lean in, try different things, find a mentor or friends or a coach to help you with advancing your career. I was lucky enough early in my career to have an executive coach. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have a coach that kind of helped me along the way. And I've had many mentors along the way. So ask for advice, ask for help, lean in, and congratulations, because you're in a great industry.
Joanie, it was a great time. I appreciate you making some time and chatting with us here on Take the Stage. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your insights with us.
Thank you for having me.